And if somebody hurts me, I want to fight. But my hand's been broken one too many times. So I'll use my voice. I'll be so rude. What they always win, but I know I'll lose. They say dry bones will rise again, and I'll be free at last. But the situations around makes it impossible to see that light. I was inspired to spread the fire, but the love of the world quenched that desire. So they laughed at my attire and conspired to make me retire back to my old life that was expired. I remember the time when I would join my peers in doing an illicit act, which led to my downfall. At that moment, I didn't know all my sins would be accounted for. I sat down and began to think about it. These dry bones get everywhere, in the workplace and job centers, in the homes and high streets, in the schools and colleges, sprinkling their lifeless dust, sapping energy and draining hope, confusing minds and sowing discontent. I remember the time when in my class I was the dullest, even as I was the tallest. When I talk, short and scared gave me mock. They jeered and made me a laughing stock, but I swallowed all these bitter pills. I got angry and I went to him, yelling. He just stood there, laughing at me. He tried to get me to live with him, even called me a sinner. So why continue when he's telling me that I might as well give up? I took a moment and thought about it, feeling caught in the middle, but got offended when he told me that I would live in a kennel. That even if I made it to heaven, he'd find a way to get me and send a demon to get me back. I'm like, no, no. Then he said to me, you said you want to own your own life, then wake up and take your own advice. You're just smart because you know I'm right, and all you do is ignore that part. I sat down. Then a voice said to me, what's the point of having guns if you can't aim? What's the point of having blood without veins? What's the point of living without Christ? I sat down and began to think about it. If you've got questions or you need help, talk to God, because he's the only one that listens even when you think he isn't. These words ran deep in my head, and for some moments I was silent, withdrawn back into my corner, depressed, sad, and all alone. But then that silence is broken when I accepted Christ. I began to live a perfect life and teaching truth. Christ showed me the full extent of God's love by taking my place and dying on the cross for my sins. I increased my pace in his grace, and he replaced everything that was erased. When I encountered him, he showered me with his flower from his store, and I became a partaker of his grace. At that moment, I began to feel everything that was dried in my life rise again. Yes, you heard that. Dry bones shall rise again. I began to give testimonies, and his grace began to grow slowly. Yes, I raised my trophy, and I was no longer lonely. Before I give up, I remember the words of Prince Vegeta II from the anime Dragon Ball. I quote, surrender is an outcome far worse than defeat. Listen up, people. What is draining your strength right now is your doubt. Don't listen to it. If it hurts, push through the pain. Giving up hurts even more. Thank you.